When Daniel Hart returned to his childhood home after 12 long years, he expected silence, dust, and the familiar ache of memories he had tried so hard to forget. The house stood at the edge of the small town like a scar that never healed, its paint peeling, its windows dim with neglect, yet still stubbornly standing just like him. Daniel was now a successful real estate developer, wealthy by any measure, but the truth was, he had only come back to sell the place. This house had belonged to his late father, a man who taught him everything about hard work, but nothing about love. Daniel believed selling it would finally close a chapter he never wanted to reread. But the moment he unlocked the front door, something felt wrong. The air wasn't stale. There was warmth. The faint smell of soup drifted from inside. His heart pounded as he stepped forward, confused, cautious. Then he heard it, a child's laughter. Daniel froze. In the living room, two children sat on the floor with crayons scattered around them, drawing pictures on old newspapers. They looked up at him with wide, frightened eyes. Behind them stood a woman, pale and thin, clutching a worn sweater tightly around her shoulders. Her eyes filled with panic as she instinctively stepped in front of the children, shielding them like a lioness protecting her cubs. "Please," she whispered, her voice trembling. "We'll leave, just give us a little time." Daniel was stunned. His mind raced. Trespassers? Squatters? He had never authorized anyone to stay here. His first instinct was anger, sharp, immediate, justified. But when he looked closer, he saw more than fear. He saw exhaustion carved into her face. He saw hunger in the children's eyes. And something inside him cracked. The woman's name was Emma. She was a widow. Her husband had died in a factory accident 6 months earlier. The company refused responsibility, and the landlord had evicted her when she couldn't keep up with rent. With nowhere else to go and 2 children to protect, she had found the abandoned house unlocked months ago and had been living here, quietly, surviving on scraps and prayers. She hadn't stolen anything. She cleaned the house every day. She treated it like a sacred place because to her, it was the only shelter left between her family and the streets. Daniel wanted to scream. He wanted to tell her this wasn't her home. He wanted to call the police. But then the little boy tugged on his sleeve and asked softly, "Are you the man who owns this house? Are you going to make us sleep outside again?" That single sentence hit him harder than any loss he had ever faced. Daniel remembered his own childhood, the nights he slept hungry, the cold silences, the feeling of being unwanted. For the first time in years, the walls around his heart began to crumble. He told Emma she could stay for now. Just a few days, he said. He needed time to decide what to do. Emma cried in relief. The children smiled for the first time that day. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. The house no longer felt like a burden. It felt alive. The sound of the kids whispering in the next room stirred something long, forgotten inside him. Over the next few days, he watched Emma carefully. She cooked with whatever little she had, shared food equally, taught the kids manners, gratitude, and kindness despite having almost nothing. She never complained. She never begged. She only thanked him again and again. Daniel started fixing things around the house. A broken door, a leaking tap. He told himself it was temporary, but deep down he knew it wasn't. One evening, while helping Emma repair a loose window, Daniel overheard the children talking. The girl said, "Mama, do you think God sent him to save us?" Emma replied softly, "No, sweetheart. I think God sent us to remind him of who he really is." Daniel stepped back, his hands shaking. That night he made a decision that would change all of their lives. Daniel didn't tell Emma his decision right away. Instead, he spent the next week living in the house with them, observing not as an owner but as a man rediscovering life. He shared meals at the small table. He helped the kids with homework. He listened to Emma talk about her late husband, about love, loss, and the quiet strength it takes to keep going when the world turns its back on you. Slowly, Daniel realized something. Terrifying and beautiful, this broken family had healed parts of him he never knew were damaged. One morning, Daniel took Emma and the kids to town. He bought them new clothes, proper shoes, and school supplies. Emma protested at first, her pride refusing charity. But Daniel gently told her this wasn't charity. It was family helping family. Those words surprised even him. Family. He hadn't used that word in years. The children returned to school, and for the first time they weren't ashamed. Teachers noticed the change. Smiles replaced fear. Hope replaced silence. Emma found a small job at a local library. She worked tirelessly, grateful beyond words, but she still feared the day Daniel would ask them to leave. That day never came. Instead, Daniel invited Emma to sit with him one evening. His voice shook as he told her the truth. He wasn't selling the house. He was giving it to her, legally, completely. Emma broke down, unable to speak. She tried to refuse, but Daniel stopped her. He told her this house had been a prison of pain for him. But she and her children had turned it into a home. And for the first time in his life, he wanted it to stay that way. News spread quickly through the town. People whispered. Some criticized. Others admired. But Daniel didn't care. He funded a small trust for the kids' education. He helped Emma pursue training so she could build a stable future. Yet the biggest change wasn't financial, it was emotional. Daniel stayed. Months passed. Seasons changed. Laughter replaced loneliness. One night during a quiet dinner, the little girl looked at Daniel and asked, "Can we call you Dad?" Daniel couldn't answer. Tears rolled down his face as he nodded. Emma watched, her heart full, realizing that love had found them again, not loudly, not suddenly, but gently when they needed it most. Years later, Daniel would tell this story not as a businessman, but as a father. He learned that success means nothing without compassion, that homes are built with kindness, not money, and that sometimes the people we think are taking from us are actually the ones giving us everything. And if this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel now, because every story here is a reminder that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life forever.